Hello, Cleveland, and welcome back to another edition of the Dogland Podcast. I am your host, Jackson McCurry, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Anthony Jokey. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing all right. It seems like once I hit 30 earlier this year, that I've just had issue after issue, and I somehow managed to hurt my back getting out of bed this morning. So I don't know what it is, but other than that, I'm doing all right.
That's good. I mean, it's unfortunate about your bag, but yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, as we're getting older, all that advice that the older people, like our parents or people that are just older than us, start to tell us, maybe we should start listening to them more because it feels like it is starting to affect us more and more as we get older.
Why start now?
Right. This is very true. Um, on this episode, we're going to preview, obviously, recap or finish off the preview of Browns versus Patriots. If you guys haven't listened to our episode with Mark Schofield from earlier this week from Pat's Pulpit, great content as always from Mark. Talked about Baker, talked about what's going on with New England, and pretty much setting the table for Sunday's matchup. But we'll finish that off. We'll talk injury report, our keys to the game and predictions as well. But Anthony, before we get to it, we got some news to discuss as always when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Um, the OBJ news is finally done and gone with after days of the debating around the national media where he was going to wind up, and even when Adam Schefter first reported it, there was a little scuttlebutt like, no, this isn't the. He hasn't decided yet. He hasn't made a final decision. Well, Schefter actually nailed it correctly. Odell Beckham signs with the Los Angeles Rams on a 1-year deal. They are loading up. That's the first analysis. Is the Rams are loading up to try to make the Super Bowl and try to win it. They have given up all their draft picks for like the next 3 years essentially to bring in the likes of Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller. I mean, they have Matt Stafford there, Odell Beckham. I mean, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. The names go on, and obviously they're one of the favorites in the NFC. But now they add Odell Beckham to that offense, which I don't think could get any more talented. But finally, the OBJ saga can be put to rest. Anxious to hear when he does speak to the media. Finally, does he say anything about his exit from Cleveland? I doubt it. I think he let his dad and LeBron and others do all the talking. But we can finally put OBJ behind us, Anthony.
Oh, he signed with somebody? I didn't notice. No, I there were a handful of teams. I thought he'd go to. That was one of them. It's kind of like, in basketball, you see those older veterans kind of join a team, like the Lakers, to try to go ring chasing and whatnot. So that's why he went out there. They're a very good team out west, and I know they're competing with Arizona for the division out there, but they're probably going to be one of the final four teams come playoff time with a good chance to make the Super Bowl. I'm not sure exactly how he's going to fit in an offense because of how much Cooper Kupp is targeted. I think I saw he's targeted about 35% of all throws, which is I think almost tops in the NFL. So he is. It's going to be very interesting to see how Sean McVay utilizes him out there. I think they could definitely, try to get him out in space in that offense. I know they like to go a lot of 5 wide and stuff. They're kind of opposite what the Browns do. They don't use the tight ends as much out there in LA. So it'll be interesting to see if it works or not. I'm kind of the opinion that it's kind of like it's going to work out for both sides eventually. I think we saw what the obviously what the Browns did last Sunday against Cincinnati. If it works out for both sides, that's great. You don't want to. I don't wish them any bad luck or ill will or anything. I just hope he's able to play well and it works out for him. And the only time I'll wish him not to do good is if we end up playing the Rams in the Super Bowl, which would be a tremendous storyline for 2 weeks leading up to that game if that is the case. But we'll just have to see how it plays out there.
Oh, without question. And it was so funny because when the news broke that he was signing with the Rams, John Johnson III was meeting with the Cleveland media, And he even said, he goes, I don't know how it's going to work because, and he mentioned they throw the ball out to Cooper Kupp, and with good reason. I mean, you already look at the numbers. In only 9 games, Cooper Kupp with 74 catches, 1,019 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He's been targeted 103 times in this off out of 321 pass attempts by Matt Stafford. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think Beckham's the number one receiver there. Could he take some targets away from Robert Woods? Potentially. Woods has already been targeted 69 times, caught 45 of them. And then you have Higbee, Van Jefferson, who's a young receiver in his own right that's showing potential. I'm sure he'll take targets away from them. I'm sure McVay has a plan of how he's going to scheme things up to get OBJ the ball, but it's going to be interesting to see, does OBJ buy into the system? I mean, he's got a ton of friends there, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, who recruited him. Sean McVay personally recruited him as well. But, I mean, in a couple, 3-4 games down the line, is Odell Beckham Sr. going to post a video about how Matt Stafford won't throw him the ball? I mean, this is what OBJ's done, whether it was in New York with Eli Manning or now Cleveland with Baker Mayfield. Is he going to complain, or is he going to adapt into a new role as he phases into the next part of his career? Only time will tell. I think, this makes the Rams offense a little bit more dynamic, but at the same time, I don't think it makes them the favorites. Yeah, they have a ton of talent, but last time I checked the NFC, all roads go through Tampa, and as long as Tom Brady's still playing, I'm rolling with the Bucs as the favorite out of the NFC.
Yeah, and he better fit in because he's a free agent after this year, so he's going to need to get paid somewhere. So he's really going to have to buy in and show, he could do something if he's going to want to get some kind of any decent sized contract for next year.
Yeah, but the thing I found interesting out of that, and this will be the last note, NFL Network said that they want to make this a long-term relationship, which if they're going to, I mean, looking at the Rams cap situation and, future draft status, OBJ, if he wants to stay in Los Angeles, he's basically going to have to take what he can get because, the Rams have a lot of money tied up into their offense, their defense now. It's going to be interesting to see how they fit Von Miller and Beckham into their future plans because that seems to be something that they want to keep those two around for the next couple of years. I'm sure Les Snead will find a way to make it work. I don't know if they're allowed to give money under the table. I'm sure that's illegal, but I'm sure if Stan Kroenke can find a loophole to keep all his superstar athletes on that team, he'll find a way to do it.
Yeah, that cap situation is very precarious over there, and at some point it's going to really catch up with them. And the lack of draft picks. So I would tend to think, in a few years that situation out there could look pretty ugly if it doesn't result in them winning any Super Bowls within the next couple of years.
Oh, without question. Speaking of, future cap moves and ways to keep their talent in Cleveland, earlier this week, Anthony, we talked about Wyatt Teller signing an extension, and we both mentioned on that episode that the Browns needed to find a way to re-sign Joel Bitonio. Well, lo and behold, the very next day, Anthony, the Browns, it was first reported by USA Today that they were closing in on an extension, and then later on in the day, Wednesday, the Browns signed Joel Bitonio to a 3-year extension, lining up his contract with Wyatt Teller. They're both here through 2025, and reading Andrew Berry's quotes after that, talking about how they wanted to keep Joel Bitonio a Cleveland Brown for life. Bitonio was a second-round pick in 2014, the best pick Ray Farmer made during his 2 years as the Browns general manager. Bitonio's been here through the ups and even the lowest of lows, 1-15 and 0-16, and he's established himself as one of the top 3, top 5, whatever you want to call them, offensive guards in the game. And now they keep both him and Wyatt Teller in-house for the next 4 seasons. And it's great. And they even mentioned that they want to see Bitonio be a Brown for life and then be there in Canton when he hopefully gets enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because when, Bitonio's been the most reliable and durable offensive guard the Browns have had since coming back in 1999.
First off, I want to thank Andrew Berry for listening to us. We talking about extending Joel the other day. But yeah, re-signing him is obviously something that's a priority. it lines up. You mentioned lines up his contract with Wyatt Tellers, and it also is lined up to the end of um, the rookie deal of Wills. So, after those two contracts are up, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to keep all three of them, but it could be possible that they find a way. But having Bitonio here, who has been such a leader on this team, especially after Joe Thomas retired, he's kind of been the guy on this team. We talked about how this town loves offensive linemen. Wyatt Teller talked about it too. In his press conference after he signed his contract. So I mean, he certainly is a guy who loves the city, and the city and fans love him back, and his play on the field is absolutely tremendous. He's always very highly rated from PFF, and I really hope that he can, get one of those Lombardi trophies before he's done. I know Joe Thomas couldn't, and I think that really stinks that he wasn't able to. But I really hope that by the time he's done, within the next 4 years now, he's able to get one, as well as everybody else. But it's crazy to think, Jack, that we over the last 10 years or so, 10, 15 years, we could have watched two Hall of Fame offensive linemen come through this team and play together on that left side for a few years. So it's just crazy to think about that we've seen that incredible talent, even though the rest of the team hasn't been very good.
Right. I mean, you go back, the people that got to watch the Browns in the 50s and 60s got to see, Mike McCormick, Gene Hickerson. I think there's a couple other ones, Dick Shafrath. Those guys were all great legends. But yeah, you mentioned it. Not only Joe Thomas and Joel Bitonio, but there's a good chance Alex Mack makes it into the Hall of Fame. So you got to think at one point, Anthony, we saw one for sure in Joe Thomas, and then two other potential Hall of Fame offensive linemen, all in the same unit. And that's just crazy to think about. And you mentioned the Browns fan base loves the offensive linemen because they're so blue collar and hardworking, just like the city of Cleveland is. And Wyatt Teller mentioned it, and how much Joel Bitonio, how much work he puts into his game. Thinking back the first couple years of his career, he had some injury-ending seasons, and then people were wondering if the Browns would sign him to an extension. They did in 2017, and now they're signing him to another one. He's the first Brown since '99 to get 3 contracts. So that just goes to show you how great of a player Joel Bitonio is and how reliable he's been, even after those first few injury-plagued seasons.
Yeah, he's been really reliable, and I know it probably ate him alive that he wasn't able to be out there for the Pittsburgh playoff game last year. So I'm pretty sure he's itching to get back to the playoffs and actually, taste, playoff victory while being out there. They came close against Kansas City, but I know he's going to be very excited when they do get back to the playoffs this year, and. Well, the next 4 seasons with him, that offensive line is pretty set. You have Wills, you have Teller, you have Bitonio. They'll probably make a change at center this offseason. Right tackle is kind of up in the air. If they're able to find something different, I would think they'll probably move on from Conklin. But, for the foreseeable future, at least 3 of the 5 spots are locked down for now.
Well, absolutely. And that's a good thing to have. And, I'm sure Barry, Stefanski, Bill Callahan they have ideas for how they're going to attack the center and the right tackle position going forward into the future. So looking forward to seeing how that shakes out. All right. So let's get to the game. A couple notes. We know now officially today, Kevin Stefanski ruled out Nick Chubb and Demetric Felton, who tested positive for COVID-19 on Monday. Also ruled out John Kelly, who's on the practice squad, so he can't be activated. So right now, Dearness Johnson's the only running back on that's going for sure to New England. I'm sure we will see Brian Hill, who was signed to the practice squad this week, along with Dexter Williams. Maybe they both get called up. Maybe they only call up one, and then they maybe bump up Johnny Stanton, who might take some snaps at running back like he did in the preseason. But Anthony, all eyes now on Dearness Johnson to see if he can make magic happen twice. He did it against Denver a couple weeks ago, and see if he can do it again Sunday against a tough Patriots defense.
Yeah, if he can make it happen twice, you would tend to think that he could be in line for a pretty nice payday this offseason. It probably won't be with the Browns, but I would tend to think some team would be very excited for him if he's able to go out there this week against New England and have a really good game offensively. I think the running game is going to be obviously be a key focus, and he's certainly a guy who's able to help them out like he did against Denver. So it'll be fun to watch. I think he's going to have a good game this week, and like I said, if he does, he's going to be certainly in line for a hefty payday.
Oh yeah, all eyes will be on him if he does have a great game. But the good thing is the Browns hold his restricted free agent rights. So if he does have a big performance, it'll be interesting to see how many teams start considering him as a potential restricted free agent signing this offseason. The other player ruled out for Sunday for the Browns, Tag McKinley, didn't practice all week with a groin injury. Obviously, he's had some flashes as a reserve this year behind Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, but pass rushing will hurt a little bit, but we still got Myles, we still got Clowney, who both were taken off the injury report today. So all signs are good that our top two pass rushers will be ready to go against a tough Patriots offensive line.
Yeah, that old line is very tough. I'm sure after some of the video surfaced of what Mac Jones did against the team they played last week, I'm sure Myles and Clowney are going to be obviously extra careful, but maybe a little extra motivated after seeing something like that. That's just something you don't want to do. I would love to see one of them try that against those two guys. But their pass rush has been phenomenal. I saw a chart earlier that they're like 1 and 2 in pass rush win rate, which is absolutely tremendous. They're two fantastic players, and maybe the Browns have spent a lot of money this week on the offensive line. Maybe they've obviously spent a lot of money on Myles Garrett. I can't help but think it was in our poll question. Maybe they try to re-sign Clowney. He's having a tremendous year. He seems to be very motivated, and I'm sure being in the last year of a contract kind of helps that. But I think that he's certainly able to succeed here with having somebody like Myles on the other side, who takes up more double teams than anybody else. On the Browns, he probably takes as many as Aaron Donald gets and T.J. Watt, among others. But to allow Clowney to roam free, Myles really helps with that. So maybe it's something that he'll be here long term, but just the way he's been able to play this year has been tremendous, and you just hope you can continue to see that on Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the Mac Jones thing, because Myles was asked about it on Friday when he met with the media, and first of all, he said when there's a rookie anything, he said he wants to get his hands on them, show them that things are different on this level. He said he wants to show them it's all fun and games, but these guys are real out here, especially in Cleveland. And then he also mentioned that he was going to hold his comments back on the Mac Jones, Brian Burns incident last week in Carolina, but he said he hopes that Jones doesn't turn into the ankle grabber or Turner or whatever you want to call him. But he said that if he tries to do it to him, he said he's got something planned. I don't think it's going to be the Mason Rudolph incident again. Hopefully not. But I know Myles isn't going to let Mac get his hands on him. So hopefully Myles gets his hands on back.
Yeah. Myles has 12 sacks this year. I'm pretty sure he's going to come close to that sack record. I would love to see him do it within that 16 game mark, so nobody can put an asterisk next to it and say, well, they did it in a 17-game season. But I think he's going to get close to that, and it's going to be important for them to get to the quarterback this week. I think New England. I'm not sure what the weather is going to be out there this weekend, but they're potentially missing a couple running backs, so the pass could certainly be a focus of their offense this week. So those guys, that whole defensive line is going to be ramped up and ready to be unleashed, and hopefully Clowney and Miles can meet at the quarterback a few times.
Absolutely. Looking at the Patriots injury report, it's lengthy. You thought the Browns' injury report the last few weeks was lengthy. The Patriots are pretty on par with that. They have one player doubtful, former Browns linebacker Jamie Collins. And then the list of notables that are questionable going into Sunday is pretty significant for the Patriots. Their top two running backs, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, both missed practice all week with a concussion. Other notables, Dante Hightower, they're one of their top linebackers, longtime linebackers. It's questionable the ankle injury. Their starting corner, Jalen Mills, is questionable the thigh injury. Jonnu Smith, one of their free agent acquisitions, is questionable with a shoulder injury. And another linebacker, Kyle Van Noy, is questionable with a groin injury. So, Anthony, there is some significant parts, both offensively and defensively, for the Patriots that are banged up this week. Much like the Browns without their top two running backs, Patriots are potentially without two of theirs. So they may rely on Brandon Bolden, who's been a big contributor both in the running game and the receiving game. So could be a level playing field when it comes to the running back position for both teams Sunday.
Yeah, I made a joke. Maybe these two teams combined for 200 passes on Sunday, just without having the running backs around. Yeah, the thing about New England though is, these guys may not play, but they're always very well coached, and the replacements are going to be up to par. In terms of assignment, they might not have the greatest ability, but assignment wise, they're going to be very sound. So while they may be missing some players, talent wise, I would tend to think that schematically and whatnot, they're still going to be be able to do what they're supposed to do, and it's still going to be a very tough game, even if some of these guys are missing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Belichick's always got his team ready, regardless of injuries. He's the greatest coach of all time. He has these guys ready, and some of these guys, if they didn't practice all week, a lot of them were just limited. I think Belichick will have them ready to play, and they usually tough it out and play because that's been the Patriot way. Like, these guys fight through injuries and play no matter what. And obviously the concussions, those are significant. But if their running game's limited and ours is, it should make it for a very level playing field going into Sunday, because you have both quarterbacks that are looking to prove themselves. Obviously Mac Jones is a rookie, Baker looking to prove himself for a big payday. So it could be, and the weather is not going to be too bad. I was looking right now, it's about 55 with barely any wind in Massachusetts. So could turn into a big passing, a high scoring passing fest. So that should be interesting to watch for sure.
I'm sure, like Nick Chubb, he doesn't really talk a whole lot, but I would tend to think that he was probably very excited to play in this game based on what happened a couple seasons ago. He had 2 fumbles, I think, that game, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he wanted to go back to New England and kind of redeem himself. So I'm sure he's kind of bummed that he's not able to get out there. But I still think this offensive line the Browns have is going to be able to move the New England defense, still be able to run the ball effectively. And then that's when this Browns passing attack, we saw them be consistent on Sunday against Cincinnati. I think that would be a good word to use. Is consistent. Baker didn't turn the ball over. He was sacked a couple times, but they were able to create some big plays, and I just think that this offense is still going to be able to move the ball with not with ease, but they're going to be able to move it consistently and be in a position constantly to score. And against New England, it's kind of like against the Baltimore and the Pittsburgh rule. New England's a team you have to score touchdowns. You can't hang around with them with just field goals. It's going to cost you in the long run if you try to play the field goal game with New England. So you got to put the ball in the end zone, and hopefully the Browns, who've had some trouble in the red zone this year, whether it be play calling or other things, when they get down into the red zone, hopefully they're able to convert those opportunities into points. And, like Stefanski talked about after the game against Cincinnati, when they do get those turnovers, they want to convert those into touchdowns instead of field goals as well. So if the Browns are able to win the turnover battle, they also have to convert those opportunities to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going up against this tough New England defense. If they have an opportunity in the red zone, they can't settle for 3. I don't expect Stefanski to settle for 3. I know he's backed off on his aggressiveness on 4th down, but in a big game like this, I could so see down in the red zone them going for it every time. And, if they don't get it, then, they force the rookie quarterback pinned back in his own end zone to try to get out of that situation with a tough defensive front and a secondary that's playing with some confidence. I'm willing to bet Stefanski will go for it with his defense or trust his offense to go for it on 4th down. And if not, the defense will pin their ears back and try to cause havoc to Mac Jones, to say the least.
Yeah, this Browns defense has to do a good job of putting Mac Jones in questionable situations, those longer 3rd downs, to where he's going to throw the ball. I think this defense on 1st and 2nd down has done a good job this year. It's the 3rd down. It's been very well noted that they've struggled on. So they're going to have to do a good job this week of and they're not playing, I would say, a mobile quarterback. So maybe, that's kind of that way this week. Since they're not playing a mobile guy, the defense will kind of show up and be able to consistently get off the field on 3rd down.
Yeah, absolutely. They got to, especially on 3rd downs defensively, they have to, I would pin my ears back and go after Mac Jones, send a blitz, even send an additional corner or a safety, or even if JOK gets activated off injured reserve, there seems to be a good chance going into Sunday, send him on a blitz. Like, force the rookie quarterback into bad throws. The secondary's playing with some confidence, and if they need to start getting more turnovers, and that would be a good spot to do it against a rookie quarterback who is getting sacked on average about twice a game. I don't know how many times he gets pressured a game, but even though this is a solid offensive line for New England, like, the defense needs to dial up more blitzes. Joe Woods needs to realize that that's been more effective, and also stay in man coverage. He acknowledged that in press man, the secondary seems to be playing a little better, so it seems like he's going to go that route more instead of the zone. I mean, start playing the defense to your strengths of what you have on that side of the ball. We know how talented this defense can be. Down the stretch, they're going to have to play their best. And, this is a good time as ever to start unleashing it on a rookie quarterback and showing the rest of the AFC, like, the Browns defense is just as talented as the offense, or we're going to start proving it more and more each week.
Yeah, like I said, it starts on getting off the field on 3rd down. If they're able to do that more consistently and eliminating those big plays that they've given up on 3rd down, it's going to go a long way in this defense kind of turning the corner. And as we get towards the latter half of the season, we're in the 2nd half now. This defense certainly has to play better. It's nice that we're getting a little bit healthier. You talked about blitzing there last week. They kind of gave them on film. Troy Hill doing a great job on the blitz. So they're going to have to be on the lookout for that this week. It'd be interesting to see if JOK does play. That's certainly somebody who's able to be sent on the blitz as well. But, this defense is finally starting to get a little bit healthier, and hopefully they can continue to do so. And, I'm just looking for them to improve on some of the good things we've seen over the last few weeks.
Absolutely. Just keep getting better and better. each week, because now it's where you need to start playing your best football, both offensively and defensively. You're in a tight AFC wild card battle, and now with Baltimore losing to Miami on Thursday night, a win pulls you within a half game of first place in the AFC North, and with Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Cincinnati all at 5 wins, Baltimore still at 6. This could shape up to be the craziest finish to the AFC North division we've seen in quite some time. Anthony, as we start to wrap things up here, your prediction for Sunday, Browns versus Patriots.
I think there's a lot of guys on this team. I know I talked about it with Nick Chubb, but I'm sure Baker's very motivated to go into New England. After that game a couple of years ago, they really fought in that game and fell short. I think they do go in there and win on Sunday. I will say the Browns win 34-27. I think they win by a touchdown against New England on Sunday, and it could be crazy this week with all the AFC North teams sitting at 6-4 at the end of the weekend. I think that'd be, or not all at 6-4, but everybody having 6 wins. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, it definitely would be. I know Mark Schofield predicted, I think he said 23-20 Patriots. I think the Browns win by a field goal too, but I'm going to say 30-27. I think, our offense is going to stay on the track it started on last week. Our defense, I think they'll make a couple big plays against Mac Jones, but at the same time, I think they'll give up some big plays because I think this kid's been very impressive as a rookie so far. It's going to be interesting, though, without Harris and Stevenson potentially, but I like what I've seen from Brandon Bolden so far this year as both a runner and receiver. J.J. Taylor could also provide a spark in the passing attack for them, too, out of the backfield. So I would expect Mac Jones to, utilize all his weapons, both at the wide receiver, tight end, and running back. The Browns might give up a couple big plays, but they might make a couple big plays on defense as well. And I think it comes down to a late field goal out of McLaughlin late in the game. And then the Browns will be sitting at 6-4, like I said, half game out of first as we march on to Detroit, and then obviously the 2 big games against Baltimore coming up. So yeah, Browns 30-27. They beat the Patriots and then move on to Detroit.
Yeah, they gotta win these next 2 weeks going into those 2 games in Baltimore because you don't know what's going to happen those 2 weeks. So they really need to win this week and next week.
Oh, without question. We'll be back Sunday night for post game, hopefully. Anthony, I don't know. You going to be available Sunday night?
Possibly. I'm not sure yet.
All right. Sure. Well, if not Sunday night or Monday night, you'll get your Browns Patriots post game, and then maybe some analysis on what happened with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati or what else happened around the league. Until next time, follow Anthony Joki on Twitter at Anthony Joki. Joki is Joki. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack McCurry08 and the Dogland at the Dogland. And find our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. Wherever you're listening to, thank you. We truly appreciate you for listening. And until next time, Browns fans, as always, as we get on out of here, go Browns.